Hello dear students. Today I am going to burst 5 myths about JEE preparation. What are those 5 myths? How they affect you? Let's see them. So myth number 1. Solve 10,000 problems, or let's just say students believe that solving a large number of problems as part of your JEE preparation will put you in good lead to crack the JEE Advanced examination. Now guys, it is important to understand that solving large number of questions and because you are intent on solving large number of questions, you are not properly utilizing the question, and that is where the students miss out. They do solve a large number of problems, but their method, their approach is not right. Okay, what I have seen with the students is that because whenever they sit to solve a problem, they are intent on solving it in fixed amount of time. Generally, what the students believe is that they have to solve about 18 to 20 questions in 1 hour on the exam day, and therefore they have about 3 minutes per question. So they attempt the question for about 3 minutes, and if they are not able to do it, they move on to the next question because that is their target. They want to attempt 20 questions in 1 hour. They sit with this target. They have this thought at the back of their mind that they need to solve large number of questions. Now, what is the drawback here? You have to understand, guys, that you have to solve a question in a 3 minute on the exam day, not on the day 1 of your preparation or not on day 100th of your preparation. Generally you have more than 2 years to study for JEE. You don't have to be at your best on day 1 of your preparation. Understand this. Okay, the focus should be to solve the problems in the right manner. Problems are food for your thought, like for your brain. Okay, they are food for thought for your brain. When you study a concept, we want you to go over that concept again and again, think over that concept from each and every angle, and this requires a bit of time, especially if you are getting exposed to an idea for the first time. So when you are practicing question, never have this idea that I have to solve large number of questions. Rather, have this idea that I'm attempting a question and I will think over this question from all the angles, whatever concept I can relate to. Okay, whatever this situation talks about, I will understand the situation, I will understand the physics around that situation, I will understand what has been asked, I will try to recall the connection between the two, and then I will try to do my best. Sometimes it takes about 10 minutes, it takes about 15 minutes to attempt a question. So never think that this is something wrong that you are doing. Okay, why? You can crack JEE with a limited number of questions also, provided that you have been solving them with the right approach. You need to do the brainstorming with the question. The more brainstorming you do, the more you learn. Even a very limited set of questions can make the topic very good for you. You can become an expert in the topic if you have been solving those questions with the right approach. And if you are not able to solve those questions, then you ask the right doubt from your teacher. You don't ask them that what will be the solution of this question. You ask them that what is what is it that I'm missing, or where did I go wrong? If you have found an alternate answer which is not matching with the key, then you need to figure out that where you went wrong, or what is the step that you missed and therefore you were not able to solve. So when you solve the question with the right approach, even a fraction of this number, okay, is good enough to ensure that you are going to get selected. So that is myth number 1. Now let's come to myth number 2. Okay, many students, they get very excited when they learn about any new content which is launched by any publisher, or any new book written by any author. Okay, you have to understand, students, that the questions need not be new in the market. Like, when we talk about launching a new book, okay, or any new content, it is new for the JEE fraternity, it is new for the educators, it is new for the institute, it is new for people who are involved in teaching. As a student, you have probably not explored the questions or the material that have come in the market in the past 4 or 5 years also. So you have to understand that the question can be very old and yet it can be new to you. There are classics like H.C. Verma, like Irodov. These books, many times I've heard students saying that these are very old books now and they are not relevant anymore. Okay, now guys, when we talk about learning the subject, okay, when I'm not talking about preparing for a specific pattern of the paper, okay, if I'm talking about learning physics and learning Irodov, in my learning physics, in my opinion, these books are pure gold, okay, because they teach you the subject, okay, they make you understand physics. So don't get very excited when you get something new. If there are proven content in the market, they have been very good for the people who have used them, and you have not been exposed to them, think about using them first, because they have proved their mettle. Okay, so I'm not saying, I'm not averse to the use of new books, let me make it very clear. What I'm saying is that you need to adopt a balanced approach. The mindset should be very clear that if I'm looking for a new set of questions, it has to be new for me, it doesn't need to be new for my teacher. Okay, so please keep that in mind, that you choose the right content to solve. Okay, then what would be the next myth? The next myth is that many students believe that studying theory may be a waste of time, or they believe that whatever theory they have studied in the classroom, when the teacher was explaining, that is it, they don't need to study anything else, they can directly attack the question. Okay, they believe that I remember the theory, what is the need to for revision? But this is not right, guys. Okay, let me put it this way, that when you attend a class, when you see a video lecture, okay, the knowledge that you gain, first of all, it's only a fraction of what the teacher has told. It's always like that. If a teacher has told you, let's say 100 things, you will probably get about 70 to 80% of that, not everything. The remaining thing is something that you get when you go back home and then you revise the lecture. Okay, that is when your knowledge actually increases. Okay, having said that, even when you got 60-70%, okay, think of it as a software that you have downloaded, as an app that you have downloaded. Okay, so you attended the lecture, okay, you saw what is going on, you got some idea of it. It's like an app that you have downloaded. Now when you attempt the question, you need to use your knowledge. In other words, if I compare it with the app analogy, now you have downloaded the app but you want to use the app. Okay, if you try to use the app, you will probably get stuck, because you missed a very important step, and that important step was the installation. After downloading the app, the installation is done, and after only the app gets installed in your phone is that you can use that app. Similarly, when you watch a lecture, when you attend a lecture, a session, a video lecture you watch, the knowledge is downloaded in your brain, but it is not installed in your brain. Okay, you have not thought about every aspect of the concept that you have studied. Okay, so when you go at home, revise the theory and think about all the possible doubts that you can have when you are, see, in a class, there is a flow of class. Okay, so you don't get time for deep thinking on the same topic. But when you go home, now you are alone, you can study the topic at your own pace, you can think over the topic at your own pace. You will try to ask various questions around the topic from yourself and try to answer them from yourself. Okay, like you argue yourself, you argue to you pose a question to yourself, then you try to find the answer to that. If you think that the answer is convincing, well and good. If you think that it is not very convincing, maybe you should discuss that with your friends. Maybe you should then, as a group, to your go to your teacher, and then you should discuss it with your teacher. So when you do this, it is then that you install the ideas in your brain, and then if you start solving questions, then you really save a lot of time. Many people, they don't want to do this step, they want to move directly to question solving because they want to save their time of reading the theory. But in the end, you end up spending more time on questions. Okay, because you are going to get stuck in most of the questions. So again, guys, that is a myth. Devoting time to theory is as important as devoting time to problem solving. A general rule that you can keep in mind is that if you have attended a class of 60 minutes in which, let's say, theory was taught for about 40 minutes and 20 minutes were the homework was discussed, the homework from the previous session, then when you go home, when you revise the theory, you will require about 40 minutes to revise the theory. So the ratio is 1:1. Whatever you are learning in a class, you will require an equal amount of time to revise that also. Okay, so that is myth number 3. Now comes the myth number 4. Okay, one shot makes me an expert. Now guys, I know that one shots are very popular among a lot of students, but you have to understand that one shot is useful for who. Now, one shot is not useful for someone who has not got any exposure to the topic. For example, suppose if I am taking a one shot on electrostatics and you are someone who has never studied electrostatics yet, okay, and you believe that instead of attending detailed lectures, about 12 to 14 lectures of electrostats to become good at electrostats, why not attend a 3-4 hour one shot and become an expert? So first of all, it doesn't work that way, guys. If the one shot of 3-4 hours would have been equivalent to a detailed 12 to 14 hour of teaching, then I wouldn't be teaching for 12 to 13 hours. I would directly be doing one shot with all the students. Okay, if one shot was that method, which is good, which is time efficient, and which is good enough to produce the result, why would I go for detailed lectures? Or why would any teacher for that matter go for detailed lectures? So it is not the way, guys. Okay, one shot is not for students who have never been exposed to a topic. So if you are planning to learn a topic that you have never learned before by using one shots, that is a bad idea. That is just fooling yourself. It doesn't happen that way. One shot is good for who? One shot is good for students who have studied the topic in detail previously, who have solved a large number of questions on the same topic, but they have now become out of touch from the topic. They haven't revised the topic since long, and they want to revise it now, okay, so that they can use the topic when it comes in the next test. So for such students, one shot is a great tool. Okay, it revises everything, and most of all, revision is pretty, it's sometimes it seems very boring. Okay, but when you revise by way of one shot, you don't get bored. It is entertaining and the revision is happening. So they are popular among the students, but you have to understand that it is popular for, like, it is useful. Being popular is one thing, being useful is another thing. It may be popular for everyone, everyone may like it, but it is useful for the students who have actually worked upon the chapters themselves, who have earlier worked on the chapters. It is useful for them. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, and finally, the next point, myth 5. There's a perfect content to solve. And if I come across this perfect content, if I solve it, then my selection is guaranteed. So guys, let me tell you that a perfect content doesn't exist. It cannot exist. It's a myth. It's perfect content is a myth. You are searching for perfect content, but it's actually the opposite way. Thinking that perfect content exists is a myth. I'll tell you what the reality is, or I'll tell you the content cannot be perfect. What can be perfect? Let me tell you that. So any content which obeys a basic hygiene. What do I mean by that? It is largely error-free. Okay, it is made by someone who has been part of this journey for quite long. Like, it is made by an expert. It operates at the level of the exam for which you are practicing, and it increases the difficulty level gradually so that you can learn the topic. And the content understands your need. When you are solving a problem set, you are solving for one of the two purposes. Like, the one purpose is to learn the chapter, to learn the practice. When I say learn, I do not mean that you are cramming up everything. Learn means acquiring enough skill in the chapter so that you can solve any problem in the chapter. So one is to train yourself and the other is to test yourself. So let me put it this way, that when you solve a problem set, you are either training yourself or you are either testing yourself. So any content which is designed for the purpose of training, in that content the level should grow gradually up, and it should be comprehensive enough to cover every concept and to cover every application of the concept. Okay, and when you are testing yourself, when you are solving something to test yourself, again the level of the question should match the level of the exam for which you are preparing. So if these basic hygienes are obeyed, okay, if it is the points that I said, that if it is error-free, if it operates at the same level as the exam, if it is designed by an expert, and it understands that the question will be solved, like the student will be solving question either for testing or for training. So if these basic guidelines are obeyed, then this content is good enough. And there are many content out there. There are many books, content of many institute that has this property, that has this quality. Okay, so content is not perfect, but your preparation can be, your consumption of content can be perfect. You make it perfect by following the content in a disciplined manner and with a good plan. You have to understand that if you are very disciplined but your planning is bad, okay, like you have become too ambitious in planning or you have become too relaxed in your plan, then even if you are disciplined, you may not get the desired result. On the other hand, if you have made a very good plan, you took the help of an expert, you made a very good plan, very practical plan that can be executed, but you are not motivated enough to follow it in a disciplined manner, then everything will go for a toss. Like, such a content will never benefit you. You may end up saying that I was not successful because as a result of my content, but that would not be the truth, guys. You can pick up any decent content and then you can follow that content with a good plan and with discipline, and that will make your preparation perfect. Remember, students, content is not perfect, but your consumption of content can be perfect. It all depends on the discipline and the planning that you make. So these are the 5 myths that I wanted to bust. I hope that it would have given you some kind of clarity regarding what is to be done if you are a JEE aspirant.